Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Welcome to our third series in our Sage HRMS webinar group around benefit management and effectively managing benefit data in Sage HRMS. Thank you for joining us today. We've got about a half hour, 45-minute presentation around just the different opportunities we have within Sage HRMS from a benefits perspective, some best practices, some ideas, and hopefully some useful information to help you all get more out of your system. I'm on the left. My name is Nathan Triplett. I'm the director of HCM. Jeff Olson's going to be taking us through the software today. Helps manage our customers, and really together, we lead the practice, and hope we are able to provide some insightful information to you all. Before we jump into the benefits piece, just again, an overview. We've started here, for those of you that have joined us in previous sessions, around the employee lifecycle. When you think of Sage HRMS, see some familiar names out there. Some of you are using more of this in terms of the technology in Sage than others, but always like to create the awareness that of all the components that are there within the system. From, oops, I lost my PowerPoint, sorry about that. From recruiting to workforce management, which I really think of as onboarding, data, I-9, W-4, performance management, compensation and benefits, which we're obviously going to drill into a little bit today. We have that learning management, so LMS, testing courses, curriculum, certifications, managing fines, certainly payroll, offboarding, and then the all-important compliance. Imagine many of you are in your 1094, 1095 cycles right now. But when it comes to compensation and benefits, you really want to show today about the opportunities that we have within the system to manage what I consider to be a three-part process. But before we get into that, I'm going to launch a little poll for the group here. Just kind of curious how each of you are managing benefit data today. So I'm going to launch that poll on the screen and give everyone about 10 or 15 seconds. If you're doing it manually on paper and collecting that, you're working with an outsourced benefit provider like a plan store, so something along those lines. All right, I still see a couple responses coming in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'll share the poll with everybody. So about half the people on the call today are doing it within HRMS, and half of the folks are doing it outside of the system. So going to be a relevant conversation for everyone, especially those that are doing it manually or managing it outside the system, as we do have some options to streamline that. So why does that keep shutting? Excuse me. When we think about benefit management, the first place we start is with the enrollment or benefit elections. So when I think of benefit enrollment, I think of open enrollment, I think of life events. And the important thing to know about Sage HRMS is we've got a couple different options. Certainly we can manage it outside the system and key it into the Sage HRMS HR tables and into payroll if we don't have HR. Another option is we have a benefit enrollment module. You're seeing it on screen here, where if we do have a new hire that's going through an open enrollment or through a life event or change of status, we do have the ability to expose all of our rate tables, all of our information in HR out to an employee portal, which they can either access within your firewall or outside your firewall at home and go in and make those benefit elections. If you're using an outsourced provider, we do have a benefit portal interface, which if you're using, for instance, a PlanSource or a Benetrack or another provider to provide the open enrollment or life event experience, but you don't want to key all that data into Sage HRMS, we do have utilities that can help you bring that in. So just something to be aware of there. When we leverage the technology in the system, there is an approval process. Most folks in HR like a level of discretion when it comes to what an employee has entered and what's also ultimately going to become the record inside the HR database. So we do have that available. And then just those direct database updates. And so after we're approving an open enrollment or a life event, not having to go forward into the core system, into payroll and key that data in, right? We're just flowing over from the system. So that's kind of where we start from benefit management. So how do we collect all the data from our employees? when we have that data collected, we think about record maintenance and then what we need to do for payroll. So within the Sage HRMS HR, we have the ability to see all of our current plans, all of our historical plans. If you look at those screens today, know that you can hide all the historical plans. I've run across some customers who didn't know that, and so they were looking at 10 or 15 years worth of plans, trying to sort out which ones are the active ones. So we have the ability to filter all that. It's given you and your employees access to not only the company's contributions, their contributions towards the plans. We have the benefit of leveraging rate tables. So if you're not using the rate tables within the core system today, we're going to show you a little bit about how that works. But the idea is, instead of you deciding on what an amount should be for an employer contribution based on the plan that they're selecting, we build a rate table so we know what's the employee only, the employee spouse, the employee and family, or the employee spouse and family type of contribution. So those are automatically applied based on the type of benefit election that an employee is making. And then obviously flowing over to payroll. So we're not having to update that twice, no chance for errors between the systems. We're doing dependent tracking within the system, so we know about eligibility rules from a child or a dependent within the system. We can send alerts and notifications for those of you that are self-insured. Using my Workforce Analyzer for your 1095s, we're able to pull that dependent information across to that component as well. And then it's something that we can generate alerts off of, the dependent going into a certain age band or age bands changing on the benefit plans, if that's something that you're offering today, people coming on, dropping enrollments, all kinds of things that we can do by having this data in the system, just to make sure your employees and everyone within the HR administration team is all on the same page. A third piece when we think of the benefit plans, and this is going to be applicable to some folks and not to others, are carrier connections. So we have the ability to set up basically EDI feeds that take data from our system and push it over to your providers. So on a pre-scheduled basis, we know that if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield for medical, dental, and vision, every Sunday at 4 or Wednesday at 2, we're automatically going to take any of the changes that have been made in the system and have that transmit electronically on the back end, system to system, based on the mappings that we've created. There are some eligibility requirements with carrier connections. I see them being less stringent, but if you're 50 employees or under, or 100 employees and under, sometimes providers won't support those feeds. But depending if you're a larger employer, if you've got a lot of people coming in on and off your plans, or you're going to multiple places to update that information, it's taking you an inordinate amount of time. Just know there's ways to automate that process, whether it's setting up the EDI feeds. We can also even sometimes look at just generating exports out of the system that you can then upload to the system. So an opportunity for efficiency there. And then again, from the enrollment to managing the data within the system, to core HR, to communicating it to the providers. And then finally, we think about reporting. So there's going to be a number of standard reports that are available within the system. Total compensation reports, I feel, are really, really important. So there's a stock when it comes out of the application, it can be customized with Crystal. We can get census data out of the system. We can reconcile our vendor invoices from a benefits perspective with the data that's coming out of their system to make sure people aren't getting hung up, not overpaying for the benefit plans that you have. And we've got Crystal, we've got secure query. I talked about alerts, right? If there's changes within benefit plans that you need to be aware of. And then we have SQL reporting on the back end if you have an IT team or someone who's SQL minded that wants to be able to get into the system and help with some of that reporting. So, kind of giving an overview of that, I think what we want to do now is paint a little bit closer picture in terms of what that looks like within Sage HRMS. And so I'm going to give controls over to Jeff. He's going to walk you through setting up or looking at the benefit plans within the system, do some basic reporting, looking at an open enrollment life event. And then we will have time for some questions and answers at the end of the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and change controls to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Nathan.
And you should have that.
All right.
And we are seeing your screen, so it looks great.
Perfect. Well, the purpose of this webinar is to give you folks a good feel for the capabilities within Sage HRMS. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start off just by opening up an employee record. So we're going to start with Hugh Allen. And within Sage HRMS, there is a section called Benefits, if you're not familiar with that. And in here, I have the ability to view and manage the insurance benefits, savings benefits, independent and beneficiaries that all tie into benefits. So let's look at what benefits Hugh has. And he's got a number of them. He's got some company paid life and AD&D, some dental. There's a high deductible medical plan, HSA, and some life coverage and vision. So here I can see when those benefits were effective, if there's an expiration date, and the coverage and premium amounts associated with these benefits, and also what the employee is going to contribute. So if the employer contributes a portion of the premium, you can see that here. For example, with medical, the cost to the employer is $12,000 or $1,200 a month, excuse me, and the employee is contributing $240. So let me show you a couple of elements in here that are just really powerful. There's the concept in benefits where we use rate tables. And rate tables allow us to build the rules of a benefit plan so that when you add a benefit to an employee and select the dependents that may be on the plan, it automatically knows what the rate should be based on those conditions. So I'm going to go into the medical plan here. And in here, I'm going to look at cost and coverage. So right now, we see the cost at $1,200 a month and the employee contribution at $240 per month. And that happens to be a family plan. So when I look at the covered dependents that are assigned to this plan, in addition to Hugh, he has a spouse and 2 children. So remember, that's $1,200 and $240. So if I go in here and just remove the dependents, this now is going to be an employee-only plan. And one of the nice things about the benefit administration is that each time you make a change to a plan on an employee, you can enter in a benefit history record and the date that change goes into effect. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to put in testing, but you may put in something like some other reason that's more pertinent. So when I make that change and I go back into Hugh's benefit plan and look at the cost and coverage, now the monthly premium is changed to $760 a month, which is the single coverage amount, and his contribution is changed to $152. And the only thing I had to do was change who is covered on this benefit. So if I add back in his spouse and I save that, it now has updated the coverage to spouse coverage amounts. And these are all built in a rate table that I'm going to show you in just a minute. So every time I make a change to this, add or remove dependents, because the rate table is tied to the number of dependents, the benefit rate amount changes. Now, not only does the benefit rate amount change, but if you're tied to payroll and if you're using payroll, that amount will update, this employee contribution amount will update into the employee deduction for that benefit and automatically maintain the deduction amounts, the corrected deduction amounts for the benefit based on the covered dependents that I've selected. So let me just add these back in. select all. We'll get him back to where he was. Now he's back to the coverage of 2,000 a month and 400. So how does this work? So if I go into setup, and I go to benefit insurance plans, and I look at that, that plan. So let me go down and pull up the high deductible health plan. So in here, just at a high level, I'm defining the characteristics of this plan. And one of them is the employee premium amount. And these are formula based. So this is the name of a rate table. We're going to go look at that in a minute. And the employee contribution is just this premium amount multiplied by 0.2. So the company is paying 80% of the coverage and the employee is paying 20% of the coverage. So it's just formula-based rules. So I'm going to go look at this rate table. And I go to rate tables and I go to deductible HDHP monthly premium. I've got some more expressions in here that help me know how to determine how many children he has or dependents he has, spouse or children. And then I tie that all together in a rate table. So in this rate table, what this says is if the employee has no spouse and no children, the rate is $760. If he has a spouse and no children, it's $1,600. If he has no spouse and any number of children, it's $1,200. And if he has a spouse and children, it's $2,000. And so by having that rate table built in here with the appropriate rates, it makes it so easy to maintain not only the rates, but the deduction amounts for that benefit. Now, when your annual rate increase comes around, the really cool thing is that when we change these rates in this table and save it, it then updates all of the benefit rate amounts for every employee that has this plan. And it flows into the deduction amounts in payroll. So instead of, perhaps some of you are updating annually every single employee on their payroll deduction, this will do it all in one step very quickly. For example, if this changes to 2,500 and I make that change and I update benefits, it goes out and updates everyone that has that plan, and I can enter a change reason if I want to. So it'll only take a few seconds. Now, when I go back and look at Hugh Allen's insurance benefit screen, he now the premium, it was 2,000, now it's 2,500. System updated it for me. So that's a really cool thing about benefits administration. If you're spending a lot of time maintaining benefits and rates and annually updating those manually, this cuts that workload down tremendously. Another benefit I wanted to show you is a life benefit. Now, life coverage typically is based on age. So, and because in the rate tables, we can base the rates on any value in the system, I can base the the premium amount on the employee's age. So it just so happens that Hugh has a premium amount of $32.50, but if I change his age, I go into his personal screen and change his birth date from 1969 to 1979. He now is 41 years old instead of 51 years old, and it wants to update the benefit plans that are tied to age automatically when I make that change. Also, when as time goes on, and as Hugh moves into a different age band, the system will automatically make that change for you. You don't have to remember to go in when someone reaches a new age band and make that change. So now if I go into insurance benefits, he was spending $32.50 for life insurance. Now he's spending $12.50. And that's because he's in a younger age band, right? So if we look at that, we're going to take just a moment, and I'm going to show you the rate table associated with that supplemental life plan. So if we go look at this rate table, we can see that here's the age bands. And those of you that deal with benefits, you're obviously going to be familiar with these. And it's basically saying that the rate is their coverage amount divided by 1,000 multiplied by the rate. So we just build that into a rate table. Once the rate table is built, the system tracks the appropriate premium amount based on what the employee's current age is. So really cool stuff. Now, I'm going to shift gears. Let me just say that in addition to insurance benefits, benefits administration can handle 401k, employer match, match limits, those kinds of things. So you do need to, if you're going to use insurance benefits and use medical, dental, vision that are typically based on single, two-party, family type scenarios, you will need to track dependents and beneficiaries in the system. So I'm going to shift gears now. We're going to go look at another aspect of benefit tracking within the system, and that is how you can, through employee self-service, have access to this information and make changes to this information. So I'm logging in as Veronica Bell, and this is a busy screen, but what we're really going to focus on is life events. I'm going to show you a life event, and we're going to focus on how that process works. It'll take a few minutes to do that. So let's say Veronica has a child, and because of that child, excuse me, is able to make some changes to their life events. So, or to their benefits because of that life event. So we're going to go in, and we already have defined in here an event called birth or adoption of child. Now, in the system, you're able to create life events based on whatever condition is needed. So we do have one already pre-built. We're going to go in, and we're just going to step through this. So let's say that Veronica's child was born February 15th. And in the setup of this life event, I know that that the benefit is effective 30 days from the, it can be added or changed 30 days from the date of the event. So in here, it's stating that. It's saying you have 30 days remaining to complete this life event. So I'm going to just step through this. And I am now able to select what I want to change. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to set up the new beneficiary, the new dependent. And I need to add that dependent. So I'm going to go in as Veronica, and I'm going to name my new baby Belle. And this is going to be a dependent. And baby Belle is a child born on the 15th. And it's a baby boy. And you notice the asterisks indicate which fields are required. These other fields are not required. So I'm just going to step through. I'm going to save this. And now I have baby Belle as one of the dependents for Veronica. The next step is going to be electing which coverage I want. I'm going to jump back here for just a moment. We're going to go look up Veronica's record. And I'm going to show you that as of right now, Veronica only has 2 company paid benefits that she's enrolled in. Okay, just wanted to show you that. And since I made that change, I should have showed you this before, but baby Belle is already added to Veronica's record. Okay, because we've indicated that that's something that she can update. So I'm coming back and I'm electing medical. I'm going to do a high deductible. And I'm going to select my dependents. I'm going to say that all of my family now is going to be enrolled in medical. Okay. I hit next. And now I'm on the dental plans. And I'm going to enroll in dental for my family. And as I do this, and I click update costs, I can see what my employee cost is going to be as I make these changes. I'm just going to step through each one of these. I'm going to waive the vision. And I'm going to waive flexible spending. And I'm going to waive life. Spouse life and child life. I don't want to enroll in those right now. Long-term disability. And here's my summary. I've elected that I want the high deductible plan and the dental plan, and these are my costs. These are the dependents that have been enrolled in those plans. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to go in, finish my life event. And to do that, I have to put in some information. And this is just an electronic signature, basically, of the life event enrollment. So I'm going to do that and select done. And now I see that I have, in my notifications in employee self-service, I have 2 life event, actually 3 life event notifications. One that I added a dependent, and that I've successfully completed the life event, and that there's been a request for these changes to be reviewed. Because Veronica's an administrator, I can also review those and approve those that request. So I'm going to go into approve life events, and I am going to select the right company. And here's Veronica's life event for approval. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to updated and save it. And now that has dropped off my list of approvals. And if I go back in here and go to insurance benefits, I now have dental and medical listed as benefits on my benefit insurance plan screen, automatically updated from the life event. Pretty cool stuff. That's basically what I wanted to cover. Nathan, is there anything else that you can think of that we should touch base on today?
I think that's good. We'll allow some time for questions to come in as I kind of transition over here. So I think that was great, Jeff. Thanks for the sharing and kind of walking through not only the back end, but also the front end of the system there.
Yeah, any questions, please feel free to type those in, and we'll do what we can to answer those for you.
Perfect. And so while we're doing that and waiting for some questions, just a reminder, a couple things that we do to all of our customers. We offer free annual, or even more often if we need to, system reviews. And so we always want to make sure you're getting the most out of the system. We often find during those reviews, folks aren't using benefits, aren't using the OSHA components within the system, aren't using the custom detail pages that we have, aren't using secure query, which all of those are other recordings that we've done as well. And so just really trying to make sure you're getting the most out of the investment that you're making with Sage. We offer solutions assessments as well. We think Sage is a great platform, are a longtime partner and will be a longtime partner moving forward. We also do have other options. We see a lot of people moving to outsourcing here recently in the last couple of years. So no, we're partnered with ADP and Kronos. If those are needs or changes that you foresee within your business, we can help and we can ease those transitions. And we do have development team here that can do customization, whether that's to the software, whether that's a custom integration or interface between a time system or something else. We really want to make sure we are a one-stop shop to get the absolute most that you can out of your HR technology. And so we have a global email here. You're welcome to reach out to us. I'm looking at the question pane now. I'm not seeing anything. I'll just give it 30 more seconds here. And we'll let everybody get on with their day.
And Nathan, one thing you mentioned, I thought I'd just touch base on it again. There are a number of you that are using outsourced benefit providers. And although we don't really have a way at this point to demonstrate how the interface would work, but it is a pretty effective interface that allows you to bring in benefit amounts from your outsourced benefit provider into Sage HRMS, update the benefit plans there that also update payroll deductions. And there is an update from Sage HRMS to the benefit provider for employee census information. So it eliminates the need to key in information in either system that would need to be updated because of changes that might take place. So it's a pretty effective interface. It works really well. So I thought I'd touch base on that again. Yeah,
absolutely. Great point. And so feel free, I don't see any questions coming in, so we'll break for today. Feel free to reach out if there's anything that you need. There's going to be a short little survey or poll after this as well. If you've seen a little bit more guidance in terms of setting up those plans, rate tables, questions about open enrollment or anything in between, don't hesitate to contact us. And thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us. Thanks all.